They say you never truly know people until you're no longer useful to them. There once lived a woman so wealthy, she owned 5 restaurants, a chain of fashion stores, and more houses than she could count. People called her Madame Gloria, the woman with a golden heart. She had given jobs to the jobless, paid school fees for strangers, and wiped tears from many faces. But as time passed, she began to wonder, do these people love me or my money? One cloudy morning, Madame Gloria made a decision. She wrapped herself in old rags, smeared dust on her face, and walked with a limp. No one would recognize her, not even her manager. She walked into her own restaurant, not through the grand entrance, but the back alley. "Please, I'm hungry," she whispered to a waiter she had once promoted. The young man glanced at her in disgust. "Madam, this is not a charity. Go beg on the road." One by one, workers she had once helped, some she even gave rent money, looked her in the eye and walked away. But one girl stopped. Her name was Ika, a quiet waitress with tired eyes and cracked hands. She looked no better than the stranger before her. Still, Eka removed the small lunch pack she had brought for herself, white rice and one tiny piece of fish, and gave it away without asking questions. "Here, Ma," she said gently. "I can manage later." Madame Gloria said nothing. She accepted the food, held back her tears, and followed Ika after her shift. From a distance. What she saw broke her heart. Ika was living with her baby in an uncompleted building, surrounded by broken blocks and rusted zinc sheets. No electricity, no proper floor, just a mat and a cooking pot. And yet, she had given her only food to a stranger. Madame Gloria turned away and drove off, her hands shaking on the wheel. But the story did not end there. The next day, life took a cruel turn. Ika returned home to find a red X painted on the wall of the uncompleted building. A loud bulldozer sat nearby, rumbling like thunder. "Who lives here?" the voice of a coal developer barked. "I do, sir," Eka replied, cradling her baby. "Well, not anymore. This land belongs to someone else now. You people are trespassing. Move," she begged. She pleaded, but her voice was swallowed by the roar of the engine. With nowhere else to go, she carried her baby on her back, gathered her few clothes in a nylon bag, and walked into the night. The worst wasn't over. When she arrived at work the next morning, exhausted, with swollen eyes, the manager scolded her for lateness. He didn't ask questions. He didn't care. Before she could even clock in, he tossed her apron on the floor and said, "You're fired. You should have been grateful for the little we gave you." And just like that, Ika had lost everything. No home, no job, no hope. She stood outside the restaurant, trembling, until a black Jeep parked in front of her. The window rolled down, and there was Madame Gloria, no longer in rags, but in her true form. Elegant, poised, and staring at Ika with a look she couldn't understand. "Get in," the woman said quietly. Ika hesitated, but something about the woman's eyes made her obey. They drove in silence. To a house so big, Ika thought she had been kidnapped. Inside, Madame Gloria finally spoke. "You gave me food when you had nothing. You didn't ask who I was. You didn't expect anything in return." She handed Ika a fresh uniform. "I want you to work here, my house, as a cook. Just be yourself, nothing more." Ika's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you, Ma. I'll do my best." But Madame Gloria had one more test. The next morning, she left an expensive gold bracelet on the center table, then told Eka she was going out. Hours later, she returned. the bracelet was gone. Her heart dropped. Maybe I was wrong about her, she whispered to herself. But as she stepped into the kitchen, Ika rushed forward, holding the bracelet in her hands. I kept it safe for you, Ma, she said, placing it gently in her palm. I didn't want it to get stolen. Madame Gloria couldn't speak. Her eyes burned with tears. This girl was gold, and she didn't even know it. A week later, Madame Gloria sat in her living room, sipping tea with a small smile on her lips. Her brother, Dr. Tayo, had just returned from the UK. Tall, soft-spoken, and recently divorced, he'd buried himself in work and charity. She adored him, but often worried he was too lonely. She had a quiet plan. That afternoon, she invited him for lunch. Ika, now the cook, wore her simple dress and tied her scarf the usual way. She walked into the living room with a tray of jollof rice, grilled chicken, and dodo. No makeup, no perfume, no charm offensives. Good afternoon, sir, she greeted politely, eyes down. He smiled. Afternoon. Smells amazing. She nodded shyly and returned to the kitchen, unaware that Madame Gloria was watching both of them like a hawk.
Most girls, when they saw Dr. Tayo, changed their voices, adjusted their walks, laughed too hard. But Eka? She didn't even linger. Later that night, over a cup of tea, Madame Gloria turned to her brother and asked quietly, "So, what did you think?" He laughed gently. "She's real. I like her spirit. She reminds me of Mum." Madame Gloria's heart danced a little, but she wasn't done testing. The next weekend, she accidentally left Eka and Tayo alone in the garden while she stepped out to take a call. Eka was watering the plants. "Need help?" he offered. "No, thank you, sir," she replied without looking up. "You can call me Tayo, you know." She looked at him for the first time and smiled faintly. "Okay, Tayo." Then she returned to the plants. He chuckled. No fuss, no flattery, just Eka being Eka. That night, he sent his sister a text. "I don't know what you're planning, but I think I'd like to keep seeing her." Over the next few weeks, Tayo began visiting more often, but not with flowers, not with sweet words. He came with questions. "Eka, where did you learn to cook like this?" "My mother, before she died." "And if you could do anything at all, what would it be?" Eka paused, her hand frozen over a pot of stew. She looked up, surprised. "No one's ever asked me that before." "I'm asking now," he said gently. She swallowed. "I want to go to business school, learn how to run something. Maybe manage a small restaurant someday, properly, not like the place I used to work." That night, Madame Gloria and Tayo sat in the study. "She has vision," he said. "She just needs a chance," Madame Gloria replied. Within a week, Eka was enrolled in weekend business classes, paid for anonymously. They didn't tell her. She came home one day and found the envelope on her pillow. "Is this real?" she whispered. Madame Gloria only smiled. Sometimes, the universe repays kindness quietly. But life wasn't done testing her. One rainy evening, Eka returned home from class to find her little girl burning with fever. The clinic nearby wouldn't attend to her without payment. She panicked. Tayo arrived just in time, soaked to the bone, hair clinging to his forehead. He carried the child to his car, drove them to a private hospital, and didn't leave their side. That night, while her daughter slept, Eka stood beside Tayo outside the hospital. "I'm sorry," she whispered, "for always needing help." He turned to her. "Don't be. Everyone needs someone. You've carried the world on your back alone long enough." Her eyes welled with tears. "I've lost too much. I can't lose again." He gently touched her shoulder. "Then let me stay, not to rescue you, but to walk beside you." Months passed. Eka graduated top of her business class. Madame Gloria handed her the keys to one of her smaller restaurants. "This one's yours to manage," she said, smiling. "Make it beautiful." Then she handed her the key to a new mansion with a housekeeper and a nanny. Tayo bought her a new car to celebrate her graduation. Eka thanked them, tears running down her cheeks, not because of the gift, but because someone finally believed in her. She moved into the new mansion with her daughter. It was safe and clean, with running water, painted walls, and no fear of eviction. And Tayo? He never rushed her, never demanded, just stayed close, helped, and listened. One day, under the mango tree behind the restaurant, Eka handed him a small gift box. Inside was a pair of cufflinks shaped like stars. "You brought light to my darkest days," she said, eyes glistening. He smiled, pulled her into a hug, and whispered, "I'm not going anywhere." Eka knew in that moment she had finally found a place to call home. She pulled Tayo in and kissed him. Not the slow, tentative kind, but a kiss full of fire and certainty, passionate, fierce. It took Tayo by surprise, but he didn't pull away. Instead, he wrapped his arms around her, lifting her like she weighed nothing, and deepened the kiss. Their hearts pounded in rhythm, like drums calling joy home. And then the words spilled from his lips, smooth and warm, like fresh morning coffee. "Eka, I love you." Her eyes brimmed with tears as she whispered, "I love you too." Then, with a soft laugh, she added, "You know, I once asked God to make me happy, even if just once. But instead, He gave me a new family, and a man who truly sees me." Tayo kissed her forehead gently. "Whenever you're ready for marriage," he said, "just tell me. I don't want to rush you, okay?" Eka smiled, her voice a tender breeze. "I'm ready when you are, Tayo." He grinned. "You don't know what you do to me when you say my name like that." Eka giggled, a sound that hadn't lived in her chest for years. She never meant to fall in love again, not after the man who fathered her son vanished without a word. But love had found her anyway, quietly, faithfully. She reached for Tayo's hand, and together they walked into the night, hearts full of love and new beginnings. What did you think of Eka's story? Have you ever helped someone when no one was watching? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your story. Remember, sometimes those who have the least give the most, and kindness, it always comes back home. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a tale that might just change your life. Join us next time for more powerful African folk tales, where every story holds a hidden truth.